So right at the very beginning, um, when Elohim created the universe, I think there's some reference to the Trinity concept, the the Father, the Word, and the Spirit, the Logos. But it doesn't imply that the Son was created yet um, as a being yet. It says that in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless, and the earth was a formless void. And then you have the reference to the Spirit of God hovering over the waters. So so far you have Elohim, you have um, the creation of space and the heavens, and then the planet Earth, and then you have reference to the Spirit of God um, hovering, hovering throughout the creation, um, and then God speaks. Elohim speaks, "Let there be light," and there was light. So the logos is acting um, through through its unmanifested form. The logos is just the logos at this point. It's a conscious um, awareness throughout the entire creation, which upholds and establishes all things into what they are. Um, and then Elohim saw the light that it was Tov, and he separated light from darkness. So the Tov is right there in the very beginning. Tov is the first principle that could be described as um, conscious awareness or separateness, because you now have Elohim distinguishing between separate things. He creates the universe, he creates the planet Earth, and then the Spirit of God is hovering outward through the creation, and then Elohim speaks through the Logos. The Logos is then manifesting the visible universe, the things that can be perceived and seen in distinct and separate um, uh, things in space and time, things that could be perceived as distance and space. Light creates that perception um, of depth. So you have, and then you have Elohim then seeing everything from the internal principle of Tov, because Elohim is desiring to see Tov, to see it as Tov, which is absolute universal harmony and oneness. It's not just good, but Elohim is seeing it through the entire process, the entire creation. So at every single point in that entire space of the heavens and the earth is now full of the awareness of God, and it's all Tov. So every point, every quantum point in the entire created creation, where it says he holds all things together by the power of his word, but by the power of the Logos. So everything is being upheld through the Father, the Word, and the Spirit. That is all things. So all things at this point are Father, Word, and Spirit. The Logos is is what is activating on the earth to um, manifest and create life. So the Logos is acting in the creation to develop the moving things, the motion within the planets and the heat and all the things that are moving and rotating, and then the cellular life is beginning to multiply on the planet or on the surface of the planet Earth, where warmth begins to shine through onto the planet. So it's there is no separation. There is no separation. It's all Tov. Everything is Tov. Tov is the principle within the absolute full all consciousness of Elohim is Tov. So that means every point within all of space and time is Tov, is full of Tov. And then Tov goes on throughout the 7 days, um, filling up everything. So when Elohim then creates living things, he creates plants on day 3. They're all Tov. They start to grow out of the earth. They're all upheld by the power of the word, by the logos. So you could picture the cells and the plants moving and multiplying and growing outward, um, and then completed in Tov. So it's meaning it's completely full and held together on the quantum level. I'm talking about it on the quantum level, through the atoms and molecules and all the moving parts are completely aligned in Tov, in absolute harmony and oneness with Elohim on day 7, when he completes the heavens and the earth. He completes all of the animal kingdom, all the plants and animal kingdom, and then the establishing of the human race, the human population on earth in complete Tov, complete harmony. You have the Father, the Logos, and the Spirit, all three acting together through Tov, through the principle of Tov. Um, and then the serpent comes into the garden, where he teaches them knowledge of Tov and Ra, or good and evil. So the serpent then brings in this knowledge, this idea, this concept of Tov and then evil upon the humans, so that there's things that are in line with that good, with the Tov, and then there are things that are out of line with the Tov. There are things that are um, separate or distinct from Elohim, so that the human being is now capable of going against the will of God. They can, creating a distinction between going with the will of God and going against the will of God, and that knowledge was presented to them in their minds in truth on day 7, when Elohim established the earth and the heavens and the earth and finished it and completed it in harmony. He established that inside of the human beings as well, where he said the river of life was flowing in the Garden of Eden, and the tree of life was there as well. So everything was accessible to remain in Tov, in the perfection, in the perfect order of Elohim, and things would have remained in that process, um, you know, uh, forever. If the serpent hadn't rebelled against Elohim. But we have this then the secondary story of the serpent rebelling, coming into the Garden of Eden, establishing the knowledge of good and evil with Eve and then Adam, and then Jehovah Elohim comes into the garden to present the way to them. He says he desired to walk with them in the cool of the day, in the eternal Sabbath, in the rest and cool of the day, where they would be dwelling with Elohim in the good, in Tov, continually, 24/7. And they rejected that idea. They were living in hid darkness and partiality. So they hid within themselves. They're hiding in that partiality, in that darkness, and they're unable to come out. It's as if they're hiding in themselves, in a sense, hiding from that complete whole oneness with Elohim, because of, it says, the idea of shame and guilt. And Elohim then established the prophecy of the coming of Jesus Christ, where he told Eve, I will send the seed into the woman who will overcome the serpent. So it's there in Genesis 3 that you have the Logos acting through time, through prophecy, through Elohim speaking the prophetic word to Eve of the coming of Christ, and then the prophetic history happens of all of the events leading up to Mary being born in Jerusalem and in Bethlehem, and giving birth to Jesus Christ at that time. And then Jesus came to restore all things back to the Father, back to Elohim, back to the oneness, back to Tov. Jesus actually came to restore man and woman, and the whole entire creation, back to the initial order that it was established in on day 7. back into complete harmony and oneness and Tov. So he, when he dies and ascends, he goes down to the depths, he goes to the heights. He then goes to the throne of El Elyon and takes the scroll where he is, and then where the mystery of God is then revealed for the complete oneness of all things again, in where he gives access to the paradise of God. He says he gives access to the tree of life in Revelations 22, back into the river of life, back into the wellspring of life, which was there at the very beginning, at the foundation of the earth, at the creation. So it's very clear that Jesus is returning the being back to the glory of God, back to the complete whole oneness that it was meant to be in the very beginning, before the fall.